There's a lot of good things to say about the 2021 Yamaha MT-09.
But it certainly hasn't been all roses over the last 3,000 miles.
Today I'll share with you the 3 things that I like least about this bike. But first, I'll tell you the 3 things that I like most. The first thing that drew me to the new MT-09 is the aesthetic. I was excited to see that Yamaha had redesigned this bike for 2021. It's still clearly identifiable as an MT-09, but they've softened the lines a bit around the tank and changed the angry transformer look of the front lights. Some people might call it a Cyclops now, but I think they're just missing a connection with their third eye. When I first hopped on this MT-09 and started messing around with all the different settings that are available, I was really impressed with the range and specificity of adjustment that the user has for traction control, ABS sensitivity, lift control, and I also like the fact that you can turn all of these settings to the off position.
And the addition of these performance controls really makes the bike more approachable for people that haven't ridden the bike before, or for people that are coming up from a smaller CC bike. It's like having levels, and as you become more accustomed to and acquainted with the bike, you can ratchet up the performance.
This is a twofer, it's a BOGO. I couldn't decide which of these characteristics I liked more, so I put them both under the umbrella term performance. The CP3 engine delivers loads of torque that's accessible immediately and at almost any RPM.
And to me, torque is what makes a bike fun to ride, whether it's in city streets or mountain roads, which is where I do most of my riding.
Also under the umbrella of performance is this bike's stability through turns. The previous generations of MT-09s just weren't as structurally sound as this latest generation. Some of this might have to do with the updated geometry around the swing arm pivot. The chassis on this model cradles the swing arm, whereas on previous years the chassis actually mounted inside the swing arm.
Now let's talk about the things that I don't like about this bike. I said 3 least favorite things, but I've included 4 because the last one really grinds my gears.
I know that I just said I like the look of the new MT-09, but I absolutely despise the placement of the horn. It looks like a booger hanging out of your friend's nose. I get it, there isn't much space to tuck things away given how condensed the headlight and all the cladding is. I just wish that Yamaha had found a different solution. The same booger horn is featured on the new MT-10 as well. Bring a tissue. The second thing that I don't like about this bike has to do with the engine.
When breaking this bike in, I did follow all of the manufacturer's recommended guidelines. I didn't go over 5,000 RPMs for the first 600 miles. I had the oil changed at 600 miles. I also had the oil changed at 1,200 miles. And somewhere around the 1,500 mark, or between that and the 2,000 mile mark, the engine became noticeably louder when I was starting it cold. Loud enough, in fact, that I took it to the dealership to have it looked at, and they said that it was fine. There was no mechanical issue that they could detect, but I will be purchasing Yamaha's extended warranty just in case.
And side note, if you're planning to buy a new Yamaha MT-09 in this instance, remember that Yamaha is going to send you a Yamaha extended service offer, which allows you to extend your warranty coverage for up to 4 years for $590, which is significantly less than the warranties offered at the dealership, and it's fully transferable. So if you're buying a pre-owned Yamaha, ask if they have this coverage, because you can benefit from that as well. The third thing that was an issue with this bike is that it wouldn't start when it was in neutral, meaning that you had to get on the bike, put the kickstand up, pull the clutch in, and then turn it on. It turned out to be a simple fix. It was the neutral sensor wasn't plugged in properly from the factory. All I needed to do was crimp the plug and reattach it, but it took me like 2 weeks to figure that out. Come on, Yamaha.
And the final thing that I dislike about this MT-09 are the brakes. It's not that the brakes don't work well. They work quite well. While they're not as sharp as, say, a true sport bike, they don't leave me with the impression that the bike is under-braked. The problem is the sound. About 500 miles in, the brakes started to squeak, both the front and the rear. And it might seem like a minor thing, But when you pay for a new bike, you don't expect it to sound like that.
Now don't take this the wrong way. I love riding this bike. And I feel like it's my obligation to you to be as honest and upfront as I can be. And if you're still watching and you're not subscribed, I still love you. And maybe watch one of these videos.